All right, we have a problem. So we have the backhoe out here in our grain field. So we run pivots for all our irrigation. We have Mainline running under the ground. So this is just one of the problems. We have this pipe that comes into the ground here, and it's got a crack or a hole somewhere down here because it was spraying back up out of the ground. So we dug this up and trying to figure this one out. But way over there, we have a big 10-inch main line that just ruptured and blew out and was shooting into the sky. So we're thinking we probably have 50 or 60 feet of main line over there that we have to replace. So after we get this one done, we have to go way over there and dig a 50-foot trench along the main line and dig up our big main line and get that one fixed. So got a really big job ahead of us.
The solid set over there on the die is going to take this whole thing.
Okay, he's folding this up. We basically decided that it just sunk and slid out, so it was blowing out of this. So we're actually just going to have Rain for Rent, our irrigation dealer, come and just put a Z pipe in, just a metal pipe. So we'll just get rid of this whole thing. But they'll come do that. We don't have to do that, but we need to go over and dig up the other one. All right, let's go see how bad this is. So apparently it was shooting water 30 feet in the air. This is where our big main line is. There's also a bunch of wires and stuff that run along it. So we have to be pretty careful about where we dig, because there's a lot of stuff we can hit. Let's go walk over and see how big the hole is. Oh, it's muddy. Need to get my water boots on. There's a crack in the ground. Runs all the way to a big hole right there. You can see that little white piece right there. That's a piece of the main line. So. See, there's a flag right there, a little orange flag. That's where the hole that we knew was. So from that flag clear over to here, where the ground is cracked, let's see the almost got stuck right there. Dipped in. There's a lovely crack in the ground. There's also a hole right there. Here's the main blowout hole, still full of water. But yeah, there's little bits and pieces of a main line on the ground. And it's windy and rainy, and it's not exactly a nice day. Start digging and see what we find, and hopefully he doesn't break the main line. And so underneath the ground right here, there's a big main line that's like a 10-inch, and then there's the manure line also comes through the ground somewhere right here, and then there's also the power that comes from the main panel way over there all the way to all these pivots also runs right here. So we got to be super careful what we're doing, because we can really mess some stuff up in a hurry. Oh, we found found a water pocket. It's now filling the entire hole up with water. Another thing is there's kind of a hill right here. You can't really see it, but it goes uphill. So we shut everything off, but all the water from the pipe is going to run down the hill and run out right here. So we got to dig it out so we can pump it out so we can actually get to what we're doing. Yeah, I think it's going to be a big job we got here.
Go over there and see if you touch the pipe. I don't think that pipe's out.
I think it's maybe 2.5 feet down, 3 feet down is all. So Trevor found the pipe in that hole. How deep is it? About 3 feet. Man, this wind is awful. I am working, I have my mic, so the audio might sound a little weird, but at least you won't get as much of the wind. I always hate when we have to dig up our nice grain field or potato field. But you got to do what you got to do. We can't irrigate with a crack in the pipe. We're going to have to go get a pump to pump all this water out. And this is just one spot. We have to dig 40, 50 feet that way too, because we have to replace this whole section of mainline. You can actually see water's running out of that hole right there when he takes a scoop, which is coming from the next spot. So there's a nice trench under the ground that water made. It's got a load of water. He doesn't want to hit the pipe because there's other things around it. We do not want to break the manure line because that would be nasty. I'll bring you back when we find the pipe, or if we go get a pump. There's the pipe. You can start to see it. You're seeing some hints of the pipe. Oh yeah, there it is. It's just shattered to pieces.
You got water coming from that direction too underneath you.
Water coming out right here and over there. We got to pump this out.
Trying to hit gravel so we can maybe send some of it down into the gravel.
Just don't hook the power wire that runs right here.
Recharge the aquifer. Recharging the aquifer.
Yep, we're just putting water back into the aquifer. Yeah, it's running out there and there. Who knows how much we blew up, but it is shattered. I just wonder how much is blown because it's running out here. It's like there might be 100 feet blown out. We'll never know until we dig it all up.
It exploded.
Yeah. What we need to figure out is what size it is.
Well, considering how much water is flowing back,
Well, yeah, we're going to go a lot farther that way.
I think we're gonna have to. Josh was saying, and I
just what we needed today when we're trying to get all the other pivots and everything set up and going. Just blow the main line up.
I ordered water.
So now we're digging back this way to try and figure out, well, Josh is going to get a pump in the truck to pump this out. But we got to dig back to figure out how far it blew up. We've had it blow up 150 feet before, so hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not that bad. But we know we've at least got 50 or 60 feet. It's just, when did it stop? The hoses have arrived, and so has the pump. We're going to get this hooked up and start pumping, and it's probably going to have to pump for an hour or so to try and get all this water pumped out. Once the water's pumped out, we'll keep digging and find it, see how much we need to pull out, and then we have to go get pipe and repairs and all sorts of stuff and put it back together. But yeah, we have to get this back together so we can water our grain. I wish it would just rain a lot, then that would be great. Yeah, we'll flood irrigate this patch with all this water.
Who needs a bath?
You want to take a bath in there, Christopher?
I got the hose and Christopher's strap.
How much would you have to be paid to take a bath in that muddy water?
He wants to go swimming. Now, supposedly, this is supposed to be a self-priming pump. Usually it takes a minute to finally get up there, but it is coming up the pipe, up the hose. We'll see if it runs out over here. Hey, we are on a hill, though. I think that water's just going to run right back in. I think we need to throw it over that side. I guess we'll see. We're on a little bit of a hill. There we go. There's a nice stream. It has a lot to pump out. Hopefully this water will just keep on running that way. There's just a little bit of a hill, and I can't tell if we're going to be flowing back in or if it's going to flow that way. I guess we'll see once we get back from lunch where it went. Well, the water level's dropping. It's gone down a couple inches. Okay, well, we dug it up a little bit more. Christopher hopped down in there. We did get it pumped down a little bit, but there's still some water in, as you can see. But looks like it's an 8-inch main line, and it doesn't look like it's broke here, which is good. So we don't have to go any further that way. But we definitely have to go at least 50, 60 feet that way. So we're going to need a few pieces of pipe. He's trying to find where it ends. Looks like about right there where the dirt is. I can still see water running out right there. Trying to clean the mud out of this pipe so that we can actually get it to drain. The next thing we have to do is we're going to sawzall that pipe off right there, and then we have to get a new pipe. We have to measure because there's PIP and IPS, and they're different sizes. So you have to know which style of pipe you have in order to get the right couplers and gaskets and everything. So we're going to cut this off, see what it is. Christopher will keep digging, and we'll go get some pipe and parts. So now Christopher's digging the other way to see how much we have to dig. There's an orange flag way over there. So we have to dig at least 50, 60 feet at least. But I guess we need to figure out how far that way it goes from broken. So He's gonna dig it up. Oh, almost caught our pump hose. It's really muddy though, so we're hoping he's got enough reach to be able to dig it up, because he can't get any closer, or else the backhoe will get stuck. He just hit us with mud. Trevor's still trying to pump out this side. It's still flowing out of here. Basically, the whole main line is just draining to here. Well, he just backed up. I couldn't get the camera on fast enough, but he almost got stuck. It's pretty muddy. There's the main line. I'm going to lose my boot in the mud. So Trevor is cutting a chunk out of this pipe so we can measure to see if it's PIP or IPS. It's gonna fill his hole with water. It's definitely broken. Well,
Don't give the boss lip when you're in the trench.
Christopher just slammed his bucket down in the water, and
Hits me with the pipe, slams the water, gets me all dirty.
Trevor got a bath.
You can't tease the boss for nothing. No sense of humor in that camp.
Needless to say, it's all broken. We got a lot to dig up. We thought this might not be broken, but it's just shattered all the way. So fun playing in the mud, I guess. Well, he just uncovered this bit, and it's leaking underneath that, so it's still cracked. We gotta keep going. It's still broken. And again, I'm sorry about the wind. I even have my mic on and everything, but it's got the wind muff, and it's still just, it's really windy today. Well, he's digging and hit something hard. There's chunks of concrete here. A long time ago, 60, 70 years ago, there was a ditch that ran through this field. Came all the way across. This was all flood irrigated. So this may be an old culvert that we've snagged a little piece. Just caught a little piece of it though. And we keep pulling up just chunks of old fencing wire too. But as we go, it's still leaking. Ooh, I just heard a little crunch. We're still digging. It is still very much cracked and broken, if you can't tell. But we have gone a ways. Probably at least 100 feet. And still going. Hopefully we find the end soon. Okay, this is what we're hoping. So see right here where it's this lighter green strip that goes down? So there was a little hole that was leaking right here, and that's why this is lighter green, because it got overwatered. Kind of went down there. It's all lighter green, goes over and around, and then kind of stops. So our hope is that this is where the end of our crack is, and that it didn't go any further that way. We'll see. It's got a little bit of digging to do. All right, Trevor's hopped down there. We hit something. Oh, yeah, there's a riser cap right there. An old riser on top of the main line. Because this used to be, well, like we still have some main line right here, some risers, little solid set out in the middle of all these pivots, but this used to all be hand lines until we put the pivots in. I mean, these pivots are only, how old are these pivots? 50 years? What? 91. So 33 years? So these pivots are only 33 years old. So before that, this was all hand lines. All right. Well, I moved to the other side so you get a better view. That's the main line. We're trying to figure out where exactly it's broke. We think that that little riser right there is what this light green patch was leaking from. It has a threaded in cap. So trying to figure out where the break is, where to cut it. We've gone at least 100 feet. Well, we got uncovered it. Looks like we still have some broken. It's cracked right there, so we got to keep on going. Maybe we'll end up digging all the way back to where these risers are over here. Well, we have Craig and Trevor down here trying to just uncover the pipe. We've got quite a repair happening here. We keep going, and it's just continually being broken. The more he digs up, the more broken we find. So we're not sure how much of it broke. Essentially, how this broke, we were working on this pivot over here, and the pivot shut off, and there was too much pressure, and the pump didn't shut off, and it just blew the main line. So we've had to do this multiple times in the past 20 years. Hopefully, we're gonna put on some pressure reliefs, and hopefully we don't ever have to do this again, because it's kind of a pain in the butt. Okay, so we've been digging this. We got here, cut it off. We thought we might be not cracked, so we cut it off right here, and it's still cracked as far as we can see back. So the new plan is we're gonna dig right there, and we're gonna see if it's cracked by that riser. If not, we're just gonna cut it off there and then dig back to here, and then we'll replace it. So that's what we're gonna do now. He just has to make sure not to hit the main line. So as not to hit the main line, we have to dig down to it with shovels. And we'll dig all the way around it, make sure it's not cracked, and then we'll cut it. If it's not cracked, we'll cut it and dig back. Well, I saw it for a second. There it is. Now we just have to dig all the way around it and check for cracks. Well, we found it, dug down, and it was cracked. So we're digging down to see what type of riser this is, because there's different types. If it's new enough, there's metal risers that just slide onto the pipe. So the plastic pipe would not connect. So if it's a metal riser, then that would be the end of the crack. But if it's not, then we got to keep digging. Well, that's the last riser back over there we tried digging. So we move to the next riser, see if it's cracked by this one. Fingers crossed, it's not, and we can just cut it off. But if it's this far, you can see the truck is where the thing starts. It's probably about 200 feet if it's cracked this far. It's still flexing quite a bit. So we think it's probably still broken. We're going to cut a piece out and see. Not broken, huh?
No, it's not broke. I don't feel any cracks.
Okay.
Sweet, we found it.
We just have to dig 100 feet of trench. We're gonna have about 200 to 300 feet of pipe we have to put in. But we found it. So we have 400 feet that we need to replace. So we are on the way to the store to see if they have all the stuff that we need. Okay, well we just got loaded up here at Circle Z and got, let's see, I think we have 20 pipe. So these guys are gonna go grab some soap because this stuff really sucks to put on if you don't have soap. And we'll go drop it off and start putting it in. It might be tomorrow. So if the weather looks different, that's why. Okay, we're just in the shop before we go out to the field. We're assembling, this is the riser that we had to take out because the crack was going through the riser. So we're putting an air valve or air relief on one side. That spring thing right there is a pressure relief. We're putting it on the other side, and then the riser will go on
85 psi.
85 psi pressure relief. And then we have the riser. Yeah, we have the riser, we have the riser pipe. All this stuff will go together and we'll screw it into the main line. So yeah, the main line is 100. The new pipe we got is 125 psi. So that 85 should protect all the pipe. So we're just gonna finish putting this together and then go out to the field. All right, we've got all of our stuff. Now let's take it out to the field. There, now we're out in the field. We have a whole crew of guys and we're going to, it's too muddy to drive over here, so we're just gonna have to carry the pipe. It's only 400 feet, so it's not gonna be horrible, but we'll get it all in. All right, we're just getting the first pipe in. He's got the repair coupler right there. He pushed that on, and then when we get to it, we'll put the other pieces on. But we're just starting to put the new pipe in. These guys are laying them out, and we'll roll them in, and then we have to put soap on them and pound them together. So I'm gonna get the block and crawl in the trench, and get the hammer, and start pounding these together. All right, so basically, I have to lift this pipe up. Josh soaped up the other side. You sit that right there. And then I've got a block of wood and a big old hammer. You just sit it right on the end of this pipe and you tap it in. Just tap it in. Give it a little tappy. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo. Name that movie. And if you don't put the board just right, it kills your hand when you hit it with the hammer. Just keep tapping it till there's a line on the other end that's marking how far it goes in. So when it gets to that line, then you're done and you go to the next one. And I don't know, we've put in what, 60 feet?
2, 3, 4, 5. Put in
100 feet, so we have about 300 feet left to go. These guys are using shovels to just smooth out the bottom of the trench so that the main line doesn't go up and down. We're getting it on. Now Trevor's holding the board. We have probably 200 feet, well, maybe 100 feet left to go. Hey, if you like what you see, make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button. So what we're putting on now is this just pushes into the pipe, and this is a riser tee. So it pushes into the pipe and has a bell on the other end for the next pipe, and then the riser just screws into it because we did break one of the risers. So we're going to put this on real quick. So here's our little short 2-foot riser. and then we have our big monstrosity we have to put on top. We're going to wait to put the big thing on until after this is buried, because we're worried about that being so heavy, snapping this plastic pipe, this plastic riser pipe. So I just have to see if Trevor, it's not going in straight. See if we can actually get this thing to go in without cross threading it. Okay, we got all the pipe in except for about a 4 or 5 foot chunk. So Craig's getting a tape measure. We have this pipe here. We're going to cut off what we need, put it on with a repair coupler. Just cutting this pipe off. Just a 4 foot piece. Now they're tapered on this end, so they'll slide into the gasket easier. So now we'll hammer this piece on. You just want to make sure that you get your repair coupler, gasket, and flange on before you get this down there. All right, we just slid on the repair coupler to that side, and now you just slide it over the crack, push the gaskets in, and then there's bolts that go all the way around. You might slide that coupler on a little bit more. It's only maybe a couple inches on that on this pipe. You'll tighten up all the bolts, and it'll be tight and sealed. Okay, we got it all bolted together. The bolts will squeeze that gasket, pinching it onto the tube so it won't leak. Now we just have to fill in underneath with shovels, and then we'll come back through with the backhoe and we'll bury all of this. We still need to go put the repair coupler on the other side. Okay, here's the repair coupler for the other end we still need to put on. But that is what about 350 feet of mainline looks like when you have to replace it. All because the main line exploded. So I'm going to hop down here and I'm going to start putting this together. So Josh is down there in the backhoe. He's filling the trench in. But I'm going to hold the mic down by the pipe so you can listen to the sounds it makes when you hear it. The echo that comes through there is crazy. You can hear everybody with their shovels just digging all the way through this 300 feet of pipe, and they're clear on the other end. Okay, Craig traded me off. I'm going to go show you what Josh is doing. So he's backfilling the trench with all the dirt we took out. We have to be careful because you can't just dump a huge dump right on the pipe, because you could break the new pipe. And yeah, we throw all the old bits back in the trench, and hopefully we never have to see them again. But yeah, he's filling it in. It is kind of soft right here, so we'll pack it and we'll go over the top of it, and then sometimes we have to come back out with the loader and drive on top of it and pack it to get it to pack really good. But he's getting the trench all filled back in. Right somewhere in here, right here, this pivot tire comes around and drives right here. So right here, we're actually going to build it up a little bit higher where that pivot comes across, because the pivot is going to pack it down, and we don't want the pivot to sink in on this pipe and break it. So we're going to get it fuller here than anywhere else. And then right there where it's not filled in, Christopher snagged some wires and broke the pivot wires. So we're waiting for the electrician to come finish fixing those so we can get that filled in once he gets out here and fixes those wires. That's always the worry, because when we put these pipes in originally, 40, 50 years ago, we run the pipe for the main line, and then they put the wires right alongside the pipe. So anytime you're digging up a main line in a field with a pivot, odds are there's wires with it. So Christopher snagged the wires in one spot. But it can be kind of tricky digging up a main line. I'm glad we got it fixed in time. It's only 10:30, so it took us 2.5 hours to get this all put together and filled back in, so not too bad, seeing as how we broke it yesterday at about 4 o'clock. But But we'll get this all back together and filled in and ready to go. All right, we're just finished filling in this trench. Just got to cover up the pipe. You just cover it up slowly so you don't break the pipe down there. Well, we'll get it all filled in. Luckily, we don't have a whole lot of rocks. If you have really rocky ground, you have to be super careful because the rocks can fall in and just pop a hole in the pipe. So, just got to be extra careful when you're filling it in. Okay, we got what we can filled in. What we haven't filled in right here is just too muddy. This is right where it blew out the most. So we can't fill that in quite yet. We need a few more days of drying and then we'll come fill that in. And over there we can't fill that in because, well, we broke the wires. Christopher snagged them with the backhoe. So once the electrician comes and fixes those, we'll fill that in. And then we can turn everything back on. So we made it thicker right here. You can kind of see there's a little bump right there because that's right where the pivot tire goes over and we don't want it to sink in and crack the pipe. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.